Welcome to the Virgin Diet Lifestyle Show with your host, celebrity nutrition and fitness expert and New York Times bestselling author, JJ Virgin.
I had a girlfriend talk about improving life, and she talked about two different things. The ground war, and that would be the strategies that you need to do, and then the air war, and that's going on between your ears. And so what I'm going to talk to you about here is how to get out of your own way. Because, I think for all of us, if we knew better, we'd do better, but sometimes we just get stuck. And that's what we're going to do today is we're going to go, okay, now we're here. And I want you to really be honest with this one. Take stock. In fact, if you can, not if you're driving though, go get in front of the mirror, take off your clothes, and take stock. Like, where are you right now? Where are you? Where are you in terms of your body, your energy, your focus, your skin? Where are you? Where are you in terms of your life? Are you really doing the things you want to do? Or is your health holding you back, right? Your energy, your focus, your confidence, is that holding you back? Now, get real about that, real honest with yourself about that. You can't fix something unless you've acknowledged there's an issue there. But you know what the cool thing is? If you've given up trying because you've tried so hard and it hasn't worked, I want to give you a lifeline of hope again, because we can shift that. But it all starts first with that acknowledgement. And then I want you to think about where you want to be. And, I find whenever I talk to people about where they want to be, they start with all of the limiting beliefs they have. Well, I can't really, be the weight I was in high school, or I can't really have that kind of energy, or I can't look 10 years younger, or blah, 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 all that, wah, wah, wah. Get rid of that. And think about if you didn't have any restrictions, if you knew you couldn't fail, I love that line, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Where would you want to be? What would your life look like? See, I truly believe that we can reverse engineer our life. And the bottom line is, and I learned this so clearly when my son was in a near fatal accident and we spent 4.5 months in the hospital, that your health is the cornerstone of all of it. Without your health, none of this other stuff happens. And your health really becomes a metaphor for your whole life. The way you do one thing is the way you do other things. Or everything. If you start taking care of your health, it's going to radiate out to everything. So where do you want to be? What do you want your body to look like? What do you want your skin to look like? What kind of energy do you want to have? Focus. How's your health? But more importantly, what's that going to do for you? Tie some emotion to it. What's the why of that? How's that going to make you really feel? Get into the feeling of what living that life is like for you. When you don't have any limitations, any restrictions, nothing. You can go all out and play the biggest game of life possible. Put it out there, journal it down. I start every single day. I open up a journal and I do what I call intentioning. And I am so clear, and I find the more clarity I have with what I want as my goals, the easier it is to get them. So that is the other thing I'm going to tell you. Now, I talk about journaling for diet, right? And I tell people they have to lose, in order to lose weight, change their health, they have to write it down. In fact, we know that's the number one success strategy for being able to create a shift. But it's not just with weight. It's not just with what you eat. It's actually with everything. So if I could give you one thing to do here, it's grab a journal, and every day it's like, what are those things? First, I start with what I'm grateful for. And then I start with what are those things that are my big goals? What are they for the day, the week, the month, the year? Every day I write those down, pages of them. Now, I find that a lot of the reasons that people don't get started on a health program is they don't have a start date. So what I'd really encourage you to do is hire a coach, join a program, get an accountability partner, and get started, because it is so easy to say, you know what, I'm going to do that tomorrow. And let's be real about that. We all know tomorrow doesn't come. So get yourself a deadline, but also build in some rewards for this. Build in some things that you wouldn't normally do for yourself that are a stretch, whatever they are, that you get by hitting those goals, and build small goals all along the way. And they don't necessarily, if it is a weight loss goal, they don't have to be tied to weight, because we know that if you change the behavior, the weight loss will follow, right? If you lower your sugar impact, the weight loss will follow. If you drop the 7 foods out of your diet as in the Virgin diet and see which ones work for you and which don't, weight loss will follow. If you start doing burst training to blast fat, then you're going to start getting better. So build in those strategies. If you live like a healthy, lean person, you will become one, and build in the rewards for doing it. And just start getting those shifted and work with an accountability partner or coach to make sure that those things really happen. You know, in both my programs, the Sugar Solution Challenge and the Virgin Diet Challenge in my online programs, I have contests all the way along the way because I want to get people engaged and active. And I know that when we have these contests, it's not that they're competing against each other, they're competing against themselves to be their best self. How do you do that for yourself? Build those things in. So critical. And then finally, get real and honest with yourself. And this is one, I know myself and I know what will take me down. I know that if I'm not getting enough sleep, that's going to take me down. I know that if I overschedule myself, it's going to take me down. And I know that if I have trigger foods, what I call inviting the enemy into the house, it will take me down. There are certain things, even if they're healthy, and too much healthy food is unhealthy. For me, it's almond butter. I will literally sit with a spoon and eat half a jar of almond butter. It is ridiculous, but I keep doing it, so I know that that's not something I can have in my house. What is it for you? You know, maybe it's the dark chocolate. Doesn't matter what it is. If you find that there's something that you can't handle, even if it's healthy, keep it out. Don't set yourself up to fail. And that's what this whole thing really is about. Decide where you want to go. Figure out what you need to get you there. Journaling, accountability partner, a program with a start date, a coach, rewards. Build that all in and then walk through the process. Because again, if you walk through that process, if you start right now, don't start tomorrow, now, living, thinking, being a healthy person, a lean person, you will become one.
When it comes to dairy-free delights, JJ chooses So Delicious Dairy-Free. With so many delicious dairy-free beverages, desserts, and toppings, creamers, and more, you might wonder how you lived without it. In fact, JJ recommends using So Delicious unsweetened coconut milk in your Virgin Diet shake. Or try So Delicious Coconut Milk Ice Cream for a delicious, low-sugar impact win you and your family will love. If you want delicious dairy-free options, visit www.sodeliciousdairyfree.com today and explore life's delicious possibilities. Visit www.sodeliciousdairyfree.com.